how fitting, the dogs. I just got done relocating the dog pen. If you guys will recall back to when I bought this fence, I said that the whole idea was that I would be able to have this fence off a random area of the yard for the dogs to have a run, and then that would let me move it around so that as I got portions of the yard growing and established, I'd be able to move it around. So I wasn't building a permanent fence right away that I then would have to work around while I was seeding the grass. Well, so we look back now on where I said I was planting grass, building soil and planting grass, I think, and then laying out straw mats in some prior videos. And no, it does not look good by any means. That's grown in pretty well right there. There's still a lot of what you're seeing that looks like it's dead and patchy is the straw or the hay that I used to mulch it in. And then of course out here where you're seeing dead is actually dead patches where the ryegrass came up very quickly and then got burned because it's 95 degrees every day down here. So the ryegrass burns off. But over here, it's starting to fill back in, and we're seeing an awful lot of this nice wispy Bermuda grass coming up through it, which I believe I said in the video when I was planting the grass, I said I'm planting a Bermuda rye mix. The point being that the rye will sprout quickly, hold the soil in place, and actually help shade the seed for the Bermuda, because the Bermuda is much slower to sprout. But the Bermuda also needs warmer temperatures to sprout, so it's kind of a critical window in the fall or the spring to get the Bermuda up, and it's finally starting to come up. It is very patchy, it's very intermittent, but it will start to spread once it gets established. So like this gap here, I don't know why there's a hole here necessarily, why it didn't come up quickly, but if we look down inside of this gap, we see a lot of little grass starting. That actually looks like that's not St. Augustine, but it's something close. But we see a lot of like little wispy grass down here starting to come up, and as we look out through, if you look closely, you'll see it down in the straw. You'll see all sorts of wispy grass. And looking all out through these dead patches, what look like they're dead patches, that's consistent. So looking down through here now, we see little bits of green grass starting to sprout up. So I think in another week or two, I think it's going to be hugely different out here. Again, the Bermuda is slower to sprout and slower to grow. If we look over here, this was the grass that I originally planted back in like February. I was so excited one day when I finally bladed out this little bit of the backyard. This was all I had. And I threw out some, same thing. I didn't have Bermuda at the time. I just threw out just ryegrass. And I didn't even mulch it. It came up really quickly. It looked green, looked great. It was pretty, but it was never properly interseeded with Bermuda. I went back and I overseeded with Bermuda as an afterthought once I bought the seed, but I think I was already too late. So this is just absolutely treacherous, as is the dog poop. You can see the dogs pooped right along the edge of the fence, so there's a nice little row, and I'm too lazy to pick it up. And actually what inspired, oh my God, I'm tangled. I'm tangled in my own varmint fence. What inspired me to move the fence was that my two and a half, 3-year-old stepped in dog crap, and that grosses me out. So I moved the fence to where the dogs now have some nice clean pasture that they can be on. Not that dogs need pasture, but they have some nice green grass, because what they were doing here was they were pooping right along the edge of the fence wherever they had some grass. Thankfully, they weren't pooping right here in the middle. So this is my only patch of Bermuda that came up when I came through and I overseeded this whole lawn. I think what happened was I overseeded, and then we got a real big rain, and I think all that Bermuda seed washed to right here and then settled, because there's just this super thick patch of Bermuda right here, and then everything else just looks like scorched earth. So over there, between the air conditioning units right in here, I had seeded some rye plus Bermuda and did not mulch it. I was just kind of short-handed that day, and I didn't have my straw blankets yet, so I just threw it out here and was hoping for the best. And we got some of it coming up. It's pretty wispy. There's some Bermuda here. It's real hit or miss, but I haven't paid it any mind. I don't care. I'll come back and do it again. But ultimately, I guess what I wanted to give you guys was an update on how the truly intentional planting has gone, because every one of them so far, that over there, this here, it's all been kind of afterthought, in a hurry, not planned out the best. This over here was planned out absolutely to the best of my ability. I don't claim to be a landscaper or a lawn guy, but you remember the effort that I put into this. I got it all bladed out smooth. I put down the wood chips to add organic matter, and you can still see all the wood chips in here. There's one. So the wood chips are all still here, very much here. They're not nowhere near broken down, but the wood chips are still there. And again, those are helping shade the soil. Those are helping hold moisture. And this grass, like I said, it's coming up what I would say is very well for what I did. This was not drilled in seeded. This was not hydro seeded. This was not sodded. This was just grass seeded and strawed, which is about as rough as it gets. So I want to make a little update, show you guys how it's going. This little patch here, like I said, it's actually coming in surprisingly well, better than it looks. I mean, I'm looking at it in person. The video here is not doing it justice. Where you guys see white and yellow there, I see a lot of smaller green that my eyes are picking up that I just don't think the camera is, because I'm looking at my phone and I can see what it's seeing. Same thing right out here. This looks kind of patchy to you guys. To me, that's very thick and lush. So another week or two, I think it's going to come up and look really great. So yeah, just want to give you that little update. Things take time. We have to be patient. But again, the point is now that I'm able to move the dog fence, I gotta stand that back up, that's where I got tangled. I'm able to move the dog fence over here so that the dogs can have some semblance of a nice grassy yard to be out in. And now I can go back through and I can start moving on to the next phase. I can start smoothing that out. I can go back over and do this again like it needs to be done. I don't know if I'm going to now that it's so blazing hot. I think putting this in was kind of a last resort. But I think if I keep it wet, if I keep it watered, I think it'll do okay. So I may try another phase, but I mean, this was a month in the making. So I'm kind of I'm kind of hesitant to try again, and not knowing what I might get. But I don't really see it as a loss. Worst case is, I guess the worst case is, yeah, I plant it out and it doesn't sprout right away, but I don't think that seed's really going to go bad. I guess it could get scorched in the summer sun, but I think it'll be okay. So yeah, I think next step, like I said, is probably try to blade this off and smooth off this little ridge here and get this this transition from that plateau down into this little slope, get that smoothed out, get this smoothed out, and maybe plant this as sort of the next block of lawn. Just trying to get, again, where I can, more and more of a yard for my kids, because right now they're playing on their swing set on like dirt, and that's sad. Kids shouldn't have to do that.